Hi, everyone. I'd like to welcome you today to RelSci's nonprofit webinar. We will walk through some of the basics of the RelSci platform. My name is Tara, and I'm joined here by my colleague, Emily. Today's presentation will last approximately 45 minutes, and you can submit any questions throughout the presentation through the chat question feature within GoToWebinar. I will also leave a few extra minutes at the end if anyone would like to submit any last-minute questions that they thought of throughout the presentation. If there are too many questions at the end and we don't get a chance to get to yours, my team and I will follow up with you directly after the presentation. This webinar is designed to serve as a basic training of the RelSci platform. Whether this is your first encounter with RelSci or you've just joined as a refresher, we hope that after today's session, you are better equipped to start unleashing your organization's relationship capital. If you are interested in a more tailored one-on-one training after this webinar, feel free to reach out to your RelSci account manager. Whether you are a cause-based organization or a higher education institution, there are a number of ways that you can get value out of RelSci. Today we are going to go over how to make sure that your account is set up properly, as well as an overview of some of our most utilized tools. Relationship Science is a business development tool that allows you and your firm to privately upload your existing network of contacts to uncover access points to individuals and companies that you want to work with that you don't currently have a relationship with. We have created a universe where we've profiled over 4.5 million influential individuals, such as named executives, high net worth people, board members, and over 1 million of their affiliated organizations, which span the public, private, nonprofit, and financial sectors. All of this information is sourced through our 300-person research team, and all of the data that you see in RelSci is from sources such as company websites, press releases, and public filings. You'll never see any data from someone's LinkedIn page or a Facebook. That's not a data source for us. Most importantly, we've created a relationship mapping technology that sits on top of all this data and allows you and your firm to privately map your contacts to your targets in a completely private and proprietary way. No one is ever going to get an alert, that you've looked at their profile or that you added a relationship. Anything that you do in RelSci is completely private and proprietary to you and your firm. So first up, when we log in, you'll see the main landing page here. And on the right-hand side, you'll see My Relationships. So this should be a collection of people that you are comfortable leveraging for an introduction to that new potential donor. It could be your trustees, board members, alumni, top donors, any influential individuals that you work with in the community that you're involved in. How do you upload your contacts here? We'll click this My Relationships. And right under Relationship Management, we're going to go to Add More Relationships. So depending on where you store your contacts, whether it be Outlook, LinkedIn, Salesforce, or if you just keep them in a simple Excel file, this is where you can go in. You can click one of our options, such as Outlook, and RelSci will provide you with step-by-step instructions on how to upload your contacts into the system. As you can see, I've uploaded my contacts out of the 4.5 million influential individuals that we have profiled in our system. I've tagged that I know just about 581 of them. My colleagues also have uploaded their contacts as well. That's the red number you see right above My Relationships, where it says My Firm's Relationships, and it's just over 5,200. I'm going to go back to the main landing page now, where you'll see My 360 alerts. So this is where you can subscribe to news on a variety of things, such as, my relationships. Maybe there's a list of foundations I want to, keep tabs on. I want to see anytime they're mentioned in the news. Or if I have a prospect list that I wanted to load into RelSci and I just want to, keep track of everyone. This is where you'll see that information. So it'll show up right here on the main landing page under your 360 alerts, as well as in your email digest, which you all should get first thing in the morning. If you wanted to, tailor your alert settings to what is best for you, we can go up here to the upper top where you see your name. We're going to go to the drop down and select My Alert Settings. So this is where you can customize your alerts to what works best for your workflow. So for example, I've subscribed to news and alerts on my relationships. I want to be notified when anyone in my contact base is in the news, as well as a couple of lists that I've created in my account, such as, my Boston prospect list, C-suite New York cancer donors. I have a target corporations list, as well as a bunch of other lists that I've created in the system for my workflow that I want to keep tabs on. You can also get alerts on any events that you do, any event lists, RSVP lists, things like that. Also, as well, if there's any industries or charitable causes, that you like to keep tabs on. For example, if you're a foundation and, you work with cancer research and you just want to kind of stay on track of trends and, anything that's going on maybe with new drugs or anything in the industry in general, you can subscribe to news and alerts on cancer research, and that'll be included in your daily news and alerts digest. There's also a number of topics that you can subscribe to news and alerts on, such as donations and philanthropy, employment and board changes, and a few other things as well. I'm going to scroll up to the top here, and let's say I want to get really specific with my news and alerts, and I would like to add a filter to my board member list. I can click this Edit Filter button. And right now I have a filter set, and you guys can add this to your list as well. I want to be notified that anytime someone in my board, maybe they join a board of another nonprofit or they get promoted at their job. You go to the topic right here, you can type in employment and board changes and subscribe that alert to that specific list. That way you can be notified of your board's activities, and then it gives you an excuse to, reach out to them and say, congrats on joining the board of, what that new nonprofit, or if they got promoted, congrats on that promotion as well. So this is our news and alerts and how you can set that up and subscribe to, what works best for your workflow, whether it be your prospect list, top donor lists, your relationships, and any other list that you might subscribe to. I'm going to go back to our main landing page, and then right up top at the RelSci screen, you'll see Discover Potential Donors in Your Network. This is our donor search module, and what it does is it's going to pull up 3 new names every 10 minutes of individuals who are in your network and have donated to causes similar to your organization. And if you wanted to click more into that, you would click into See More Donors, and it would pull up a fuller list of individuals who have donated to causes similar to you. All the way at the top, we have our Smart Search bar. So this is where you can go in and type in an individual or a corporation and a foundation of interest and, get smart on them. Let's say that I am a prospect researcher, and part of my job is to look up, wealthy individuals in the area, and I'm going to pull up Melody Hobson because she's on my list. So this is what an individual's profile is going to look like in RelSci. You'll see the person's name, where they work. Let's say, if you knew Melody Hobson, you could add her as a relationship, one off here. You can also, add her to your news and alerts. Let's say I want to be notified anytime that Melody is mentioned in the news because she's a prospect of mine and I want to see, what her activities consist of. Scroll down to Recent 360 Alerts. This will be any time that Melody has been mentioned in the news over the past couple of weeks, and you can scroll through various articles. And then down here, you'll see my firm's paths to Melody. So right away, RelSci is taking into account, who out of my 500 plus tagged relationships can possibly get me a warm introduction to Melody. So it looks like that I've tagged that I know Kevin Johnson, and I believe that Kevin could get me a warm introduction to Melody because it looks like they've overlapped at Starbucks for a number of years. Anytime you see a red line with paths, that indicates a strong likelihood. Orange will be average, and yellow will be weak. Let's say, maybe my strongest path, isn't the best one. Kevin is really busy, and I don't think he'll have time to introduce me to Melody. I could scroll down here and go to my firm's strongest paths. So let's see, maybe one of my colleagues might have a connection to Melody that I didn't know about. So it looks like 2 of my colleagues, Scott and Stanley, have tagged that they know Melody Hobson. So that might be a better access point for me to, go to my colleagues. I see that, you both know Melody. Can you help me get that warm introduction to her? And then I'm going to scroll down, and I'm just going to show you what information we'll pick up on an individual's profile in RelSci. We'll have family if publicly available, full education history, where have they gone to school, any membership organizations that they've been a part of. So, Melody's been a part of the Young Presidents Organization, the Economic Club of Chicago, as well as a number of other organizations. We will also pick up their career history, so where they work currently and where have they worked in the past as well. So it looks like Melody is the president and director of Ariel Capital Management Holdings. We also pick up boards and committees that an individual is a part of. It could be corporate, government, or nonprofit if available. So we can see Melody's on the board of Starbucks, Estee Lauder, DreamWorks, and another number of organizations. So we can kind of scroll through and get smart on Melody and see, where else does she spend her time. We'll flip through here. She's a member of a lot of boards. We will also pick up any donations and grants that the individual has been a part of that have been made public. So for example, it looks like Melody has donated to the Chicago Public Education Fund and St. Ignatius College Prep. We will also pick up political donations if available. If an individual has public holdings in a company, we'll show that here. Looks like Melody's public holdings in Starbucks, Estee Lauder, and DreamWorks. And we'll also show any awards and honors that the individual has been a part of, any events that they've attended or maybe spoken at. So Melody is a very public individual, so she has a very robust profile. If you're ever looking at someone, who might not have as large of a public presence, their profile won't be as robust. But I'm going to scroll up to the top here of Melody's profile, and I'm going to go to Relationship Summary and click See All. So this is a breakdown of who we believe that Melody has access to. So, Melody hasn't gone in here and uploaded her contacts. All this information is gathered through the public domain. So RelSci has an algorithm that determines the likelihood of an individual knowing another person. We take a look at, where have these individuals worked? What boards do they sit on? Have they done any investment deals together? Are they also members of the same membership organization? Then the algorithm will take it one step further and take a look at, if these two individuals worked at Ariel Investments. Was it current or was it 10 years ago? How senior were they at the firm? What are the chances that they actually overlapped in the workplace? If it's a board that they sit on, is it a 100-person corporate board or is it a 10-person nonprofit board? All of that goes into determining the relationship likelihood, whether it be strong, average, or weak. The strongest will always pop up first on the top of the list, and we can hover over the strong and see, why do we think that Melody knows John W. Rogers Jr.? So it looks like they're both on the board of the Ariel Investment Trust together, as well as the Chicago Public Education Fund, the Economic Club of Chicago. They were both trustees at Princeton. They've also done a deal together as well. So, that's why we believe that, Melody could get you an introduction to John. Now, let's say, for example, I actually know Melody. I am the Young Presidents Organization, and she is on our board. And, I would like to use Melody's relationships to, reach out to some potential prospects that I have. What I can do here is I can filter Melody's relationship list. So I'm going to click this filter button right here. And, let's say I'm only interested in relationship likelihoods that are strong and average. So I can uncheck weak. If you were ever maybe not interested in a certain path type, for example, if someone knows someone through a PEVC investment deal and you think that's not a good access point for you, you can uncheck that. Also, you can remove paths exclusively through an organization or an individual. So for example, since I'm the Young Presidents Organization, I already know about Melody's connections, to our other board members and other people that we've worked with. So I'm going to remove paths exclusively through us because I already know about those paths. And then I can click Apply. And now that filter is applied to Melody's relationship list. So, let's say this is the list I want to use moving forward. I just click this Add To button, List, and I can call it, M. Hobson Rels. click Save. And once that does that, now that list is saved in my account, I can click View List. And any list that I create in RelSci will be stored in this list tool right here. So anytime you want to reference something, maybe make some edits, this is where you would go about doing that in the tool. So now I have Melody, Hobbs, and Rels. They're in my list, and I can go into other tools and use this list, which I'll go into in a little bit more detail later. So next up, we're going to go back up to the Smart Search bar. Let's say, for example, I work at a foundation and I don't go after high net worth individuals. I mostly focus on corporations and foundations. I want to try to find those partnerships that these foundations can help us with our cause. So I'm going to type in the Ford Foundation. So this is what we're going to pull up for an organization's profile. Any profile that you pull up in RelSci, you can also print out. Let's say, I want to give this dossier to my colleagues at my next team meeting. Just click this report button that's found on the upper left-hand side. It's a PDF, and I can kind of select, which pieces of the profile I would like to create in my PDF report to show to my colleagues. You can also do that on an individual's profile as well. So you'll see the Ford Foundation. If you wanted to add them to your news and alerts, you just click this following button right up top. You'll see recent 360 alerts, anytime the Ford Foundation has been mentioned in the news in the last couple weeks. And then we're going to scroll down and go to my firm's paths to the Ford Foundation. So RelSci is taking into account, who out of my tagged relationships can possibly get me an introduction to someone influential at the Ford Foundation. So it looks like that I've tagged that I know Cecil Richards, who's on the board of trustees at the Ford Foundation. Let's say, I'm trying to find someone else, maybe not a board member, maybe like a senior executive at the Ford Foundation. I can scroll down my firm's strongest paths and see maybe one of my colleagues might have an interesting access point that I didn't know about. So it looks like my colleague Thomas has tagged that he knows Thurgood Marshall Jr., who's also on the board of trustees, and my colleague Scott has tagged that he knows Darren Walker, who's the president of the Ford Foundation. So, if I really want to get that warm intro to Darren, it looks like my best bet is to go to Scott to see if he can introduce me. Now I'm going to scroll down and you'll see a quick description on the foundation, what they do, a full breakdown of their key personnel as well as their board members. Any of these blue names are completely clickable, so if you wanted to get smart on a certain executive or board member, feel free to scroll through here and click on any of the blue names that interest you. It'll pull up their RelSci profile. We'll also pull up any advisors and consultants that the foundation has worked with, as well as any individuals who have helped them on these deals, such as a legal advisor or consultant, any subsidies that the foundation has. We'll also pick up, if made public, nonprofit donations and grant info. So you'll see, where does the Ford Foundation, donate a lot of their money? It looks like the Institute of International Education and the National Academy of Science for some recent donations. We'll also pick up any members of the foundation, as well as any investments that they've been a part of, and any sponsorships that they've done. Maybe they sponsored an event of some kind, such as the World Economic Forum. So that's what an organization's profile will look like when you pull it up in RelSci. Now I'm going to scroll up to the top, and right where we saw paths, I'm going to click into See All Paths. This is one of our most popular tools in RelSci. Pathfinder allows you to map any entity to any entity. Right now I have it going from my firm to the Ford Foundation. So we look at the paths and we'll see, oh look, my colleague Tom has tagged that he knows Thurgood Marshall Jr. because it's a tagged relationship and it's a strong likelihood. So anytime you guys see a red line in this Pathfinder tool, that's going to be a strong likelihood that the individual knows the other person to help get you that warm introduction. If you see an orange line, that'll be an average likelihood. Yellow will be weak. I can switch up this from and to. There's a variety of different ways that you can use this tool. So for example, let's say I'm a nonprofit. I have my prospect list for the year that I know I'm going to be going after. And I want to see if any of my top donors, maybe they might know some of my prospects and maybe I can reach out to them to see what I can uncover. So I'm going to do from my top donors list that I have in RelSci to my top prospect list. So both of these are lists of individuals. And I'm going to see if there are any commonalities here. Click Show Paths. So now RelSci is taking into account, who out of my top donors is connected to some of my top prospects. This can be incredibly helpful for me with the campaign that I have coming up in the coming year. So it looks like Melissa, who's one of my top donors, knows one of my prospects, James, and if I hover over this line, it looks like they know each other because they're both currently on the board of the Citizens Budget Commission as well as the Urban Land Institute. So, I can reach out to Melissa and say, hey, I saw that, you're on those two boards with James. Would you be willing to get that warm introduction to me? I really would like him to become involved with our organization. Or it looks like Katya, who's one of my top donors, knows Fred, who's one of my top prospects, because it looks like they're both currently on the advisory board of DreamIt Ventures together. So again, that's another great access point that I didn't know of. And, I can use this list and these paths to kind of help, reach out to those top prospects. And hopefully they can become one of our top donors down the road. You can also filter these path reports. So let's say, for example, there's a path type that maybe you're not interested in. For example, I'm not interested in someone who's done a limited partner investment deal together. I can unclick that here. Or if I want to remove paths exclusively through an organization. So for example, let's say I know a lot of my top donors are also on the American Cancer Society board together, and I already know about a lot of those connection points. I can remove paths exclusively through the American Cancer Society. I can click Apply, and now these filters will apply to my path report to make it customized for my workflow. You can also print out these path reports as well. If you click this report button right here on the upper right-hand side, you can select, do I want a PDF report or would I like a CSV, which would be an Excel grid? You can also select, I only want to print the top 10 paths to bring to my meeting, or maybe I want the top 50. That's all an option of what you can do here in RelSci. You can always edit the from and to. So for example, let's say, I'm a foundation. I work with Coca-Cola a lot. I have a really good relationship with the executives there. I could go into the from field and type in Coca-Cola to my top prospect list. Or, let's say, I have, a group of my top donors and I want to see how they map to this one prospect in particular. That's another option of mapping that you can do in our Pathfinder tool. Next up is Power Search, which is how we develop prospect lists in RelSci. Go into Power Search here. This is our most popular prospecting tool. And what it allows you to do is create searches for either a group of individuals or a group of companies that fit a certain criteria. So as you'll see along the left-hand side, we can filter on various characteristics, such as basics, career board, maybe I'm looking for people who went to the same alma mater as myself, or I'm looking for individuals who have X amount in investments and public holdings, or maybe I'm just really interested to see, maybe they've donated to a cause or an organization. These are all parameters that you can search for individuals or, companies within Power Search. So let's say, I am a foundation. I'm located in New York City, and I deal with cancer research. And I want to look for, individuals who are located in this area, who have the capacity to give a very high-level donation. So I'm on the People tab. I just want to double-check that here on the right-hand side for location. Since my company is located in New York City, that's really where I want to stay focused. So for location, I'm going to do New York City. Select. And I really want people who are very high up in their organization. So I'm going to look for people who are C-suite and senior management. Select. I'm going to scroll down and click donations. And I can either pick an organization or a cause. I'm going to do a cause because I think that's the best access point for me, and I'm going to do cancer research. And now I'm going to scroll down and click search. So now what RelSci is doing is out of those 4.5 influential individuals that we have profiled in our system, we're taking into account, who fits the criteria that I just input into the system. So it looks like we have 124 individuals who are located in New York City. Our C-suite and senior management have donated to cancer research in the past. So you'll see on the left-hand side, who these people are, why they've come up on this list. So first up is Dimon, who's the chairman and CEO of JP Morgan. And it looks like he's donated to the Lymphoma Research Foundation previously. And then opposite his name, you'll see my strongest path to get a warm introduction to Jamie. Looks like I can get an introduction through Michael Cohen. I can scroll down and see who else fits this list. It looks like Stephen Schwartzman, who's the co-founder of the Blackstone Group. He's a senior individual at Blackstone. He's located in New York City. And it looks like he's donated to the Prostate Cancer Foundation and the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And then you'll see, oh, it looks like my colleague Mike Cohen can get me a warm introduction to Stephen. So let's say, this is my prospect list that I'm going to work with moving forward. I can report this out to show my colleagues, and the same as Pathfinder, I can do an Excel grid or I can choose a PDF report. I can also add this to a list. So I'm just going to click this Add To button. I'm going to select the list option. And once that window pops up, I'm going to add it as New York Cancer Donors C-Suite. And click Save. So now that prospect list is saved into my account. I can go back into the Pathfinder tool that we just did and do my firm to these New York cancer donors and hopefully uncover some access points that I didn't know about, and hopefully we can reach our fundraising goal. We can also look for organizations in the Power Search tool as well. So I'm going to unclick these right here. And I'm going to go back up to the top and click the Organizations tab. So let's say, I'm a university and I'm really looking for corporate donors. I'm located in Atlanta, and I want to see, what organizations that are located in Atlanta have donated to universities before. So for company type, location. Let's start with location first. I want to make sure they're located in Atlanta. And I'm going to scroll down to donations. And I want to see who's donated to higher education and universities. Just scroll down and click search. And now what RelSci is going to do is, out of over the 1 million organizations that we have profiled, who is located in Atlanta and has donated money to higher education and universities. So it looks like AT&T has donated to Trinity and the University of Texas, and they're also located in Atlanta. And how do I get that warm introduction to someone influential at AT&T? It looks like my colleague Susan can possibly get that for me. So I can scroll through this list and see what companies are located in Atlanta and what other schools have they donated to in the past. So it looks like Bank of America, Comcast, IBM, and we can kind of scroll through this list and see, what companies might be a viable option for me, at this university that I work for. And opposite, you'll always see your shortest path to get a warm introduction to someone influential at that company. Again, if you'd like to print this out, show it to your colleagues at your next meeting, click the report feature. You can also add this as a list. So let's say, this is target corporations I want to do. Click Add To List. And once that pops up, I can name this list like ATL Target Corporations. Let's say, I wanted to get alerts on these companies. I want to be notified when they're in the news. I'll just click this alerts feature right here, and now alerts will be set up for that list in particular. Click Save. And now I've saved that list to my account for my future workflow. Next up, we're going to do is go into our donor search tool. So this is a tool that a lot of our nonprofits get a lot of use out of. And what this tool allows you to do is to prospect strictly for individuals, but it allows you to cast a wider net. So what donor search does is we can type in an organization or a cause and a location. So let's say, I'm a hospital, I'm located in Denver, and I'm looking for donors in that area. So for location, I'm going to type in Denver. And what I'm really looking for is people who've donated to medical research. Do medical research and advocacy. And now I'm going to click Show Donors. And what this tool does is it's going to pull up a list of individuals who have either worked at, sat on the board of, or donated to causes similar to medical research. And we can see we have 306 individuals who are located in the Denver area and have donated to causes similar. So, this could be my prospect list. I'm a hospital. I'm looking for people, who are located in Denver and have donated to medical-related causes. So right on the left-hand side, you'll see Greg, who is the CEO at White Wave Foods. And how do I get a warm introduction to him? At least the opposite, it looks like, through my colleague Dana. We can kind of scroll through this list and see, what individuals do we have in RelSci that fit that criteria. This is great for prospect generation or ideas, and maybe go after some individuals that maybe don't fit your current donor model. Maybe they're outside, but we think because of where their interests lie, where they've donated in the past, that there would be a high likelihood that they would want to donate to your organization as well. You can print this out through report, and you can also add this to a list as well. Next up, what I'm going to do is go into our RSVP search tool. This is great if you plan events or galas on behalf of your organization. So let's say, I'm a hospital, I'm located in New York, and I would like to curate a list of invitees to invite to our next fundraising gala. So let's say that I am New York Presbyterian Hospital, and then I'm going to click Explore. So now what RelSci is doing is they're taking a look at who are my C-suite and senior management connected to, who are my board members connected to, and who are my donors connected to. It's going to curate a large list of individuals, that New York Presbyterian has a connection point to. So it looks like first up is Rex Tillerman, and it looks like that he is connected to Andrea Jung, who's donated to our hospital in the past, as well as a few of our board members. So, there's a chance that because Rex has friends who are affiliated with the hospital and have donated, that he would be interested in attending our event and, maybe donating some money to the hospital in the future. But, 4,000, just under 5,000 individuals, that's a really large invitee list for me to kind of comb through. So what I can do here is I can add this filter button. So, let's say because we are a New York City hospital, I'm only interested in people who are located in New York and New Jersey. And let's say, I only want them to be, involved with hospitals and health centers in the past because, I believe that, since they've been involved with organizations similar to us, that they would be interested in donating to us. So now I'm going to apply those filters to that list. So it's going to take that list of just under 5,000 and comb through for individuals who are located in New York and New Jersey and have previously been affiliated with hospitals and health centers. We're going to give this tool a minute just to load all the information. If anyone has any questions at this time, maybe that you've thought of throughout the presentation, please feel free to submit them through the chat feature within GoToWebinar. So it looks like we were able to filter down our list dramatically to 1,400, which is much more manageable. So this is a list of individuals that New York Presbyterian is connected to. They're located in the same area as New York Presbyterian, so that's New York, New Jersey, and they're affiliated with hospitals as well. So let's say, I want to add this to a list. I want to keep track. These are the people I want to invite to my next gala. So I click Add To, and instead of the list option, I'm going to select Event. So let me name this New York Presbyterian Event List, and click Save. And let's view event. So now this list of possible invitees is now stored in our events tool. So it's a great way to kind of keep yourself separate, have your event stuff separate from your prospect list or your donor list or anything like that. Just a great way to stay organized. Next up, our last tool that we're going to go over is Relationship Discovery. This is our long-term planning strategic prospecting tool. So essentially, let's say if you could get the contact lists of all of your top donors and combine them and put them into RelSci, there could be some really interesting access points to uncover. But realistically, let's say my board is 15 people. It'd be really difficult to, go after those 15 very busy individuals and get their contact lists from them. Well, you don't need to do that here. Discovery lets you do that. So we're going to click this change button right here on the upper right-hand side. And you can input, right now I have it automatically defaulted to my 2016 top donors. But if I wanted to do my relationships, or, let's say I had a group of my board members, I can default that as my input as well. For connections, we can look for first degree, which will be anyone that, my donors are directly connected to, or second degree, which is who they can introduce me through their network. For roles, I can look for board, C-suite, or other, and click apply. So now I've applied those parameters to relationship discovery, and I'm going to click explore the relationships. So right now we have, my top donors. Who do they have access to based off of the industry that they work in? So we can kind of go to the left-hand side and see, a quick snapshot. Who are my donors connected to that work in investment services and portfolio management? Who do we know in the higher education field? We can kind of scroll through. Look, we have some connection points in pharmaceutical companies. And you'll see right in the middle of the chart kind of a quick snapshot of, what organizations are we most connected to, through our top donors. Let's say, industry might not be how you want to search for things. If you go to this top button, you can filter it by location or role as well, depending on what works best for your workflow. So let's say, I'm a foundation, I really want to see, maybe our top donors, who do they know in the private equity and venture capital space? I think that would be really interesting. I think those individuals would have a high capacity to donate. So I click the PEVC. And right now I have a breakdown of all the organizations that our top donors are connected to. So it looks like they're connected to the Carlyle Group, the Partnership Fund for New York City, Lead Edge Capital, the Blackstone Group, KKR, as well as another number of organizations. And you'll see these circles. They'll show you that if there's a 6 in the middle or a 10, that's the number of connections that your donors have, to that organization. And you'll see red will indicate how many strong connections, orange will be average, and yellow will be weak. So what I can do is I'm going to click into the Carlyle Group. So it looks like we have 14 connections there, 11 strong, 3 average. And we can see, who do our donors know at the Carlyle Group? So it looks like one of our donors, Anthony, is connected to William Conway, who's on the board of directors there. He's also connected to Daniel, who's the chairman of the board, as well as a number of individuals who are, that work at this organization. Because of their occupation, we think that they might be a really good, maybe new donor base to kind of tap into and see if they'd be interested in donating, to our organization since they are connected to our top donors. You can report this out, same as before, CSV or PDF to kind of show your colleagues, or maybe your next board meeting, show your top donors if they're there, to be like, oh, look, we saw that, you're connected to William, who works at the Carlyle Group. Would you be interested in making a warm introduction for us, on your behalf? A couple of last-minute features on RelSci. We have this RelSci services button here. So if you're ever looking for an individual, or if you're looking at an organization and there's a certain data point that you don't see, you can come in here and, say I'm looking at Coca-Cola. I think they've made some more donations in the past than what's shown here. Just include as much detail as you can. If there's any links that you can include, click submit, and that note will go to our research team, and they'll get back to you in 2 to 3 business days. They'll scour the web, see if they were able to update that profile and send you the updated link. Also, if there's ever, an individual from your contacts that's not profiled in RelSci and you'd really like to see them profiled, please submit as much information as you can about the person, such as, I'm looking for George Smith. He's a tax partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers, and he's located in New York. You can do that here. Our research team will go out, scour the web, and see if we can create a profile for that individual. Also, too, as a part of your RelSci subscription, let's say maybe, you have a quick question or you can't get in touch with your account manager, we have a full-service client support team. They're located here in our New York office. You can call, email, or live chat them at any time, and they are happy to help with anything such as, I locked myself out of my account, how do I get back in? Or, I'm doing this power search report and I just want to make sure that I'm following all the steps correctly. So there's a number of ways that you can get in touch with them, and they're happy to help you. We hope that you guys feel more comfortable using the RelSci platform now, and that moving forward you're equipped to successfully take advantage of our tool to better serve your organization. If there's anything that you saw throughout this webinar that maybe seemed confusing or unclear, please contact our client support team for further assistance. Additionally, you can also reach out to your account manager to further discuss your organization's specific needs. Now we're going to give everyone a couple minutes. If you have any last-minute questions that you'd like to submit, through our chat feature, please go ahead and do that now, and we'll follow up with your questions in just a minute or two. Hi, everyone. Thank you for submitting your questions. Now my colleague Emily and I are going to go through our question and answer session portion of the webinar.
Okay, so the first question that we received is there a way to search all of your lists at once in Pathfinder?
So if we go into Pathfinder, unfortunately you can only map, my firm to one list at a time. But, for example, if there are a couple of lists that you'd like to combine into one giant master list, please feel free to reach out to your client support team or your account manager, and we can set that up for you so that you can map your firm to a group of lists.
Great. Okay, the next question is, are there special templates we can access, and how do we make sure all areas are expanded when we generate reports?
So we're going to click into List feature. So let's say, you would like to create a new list for your account and you have your prospects. We'll click this Upload File to List. And right here where it says Download a Template, it's our CSV file. So anytime you are uploading either a list of prospects or top donors or your relationships, and you keep your file stored in Excel, what we're going to do is we're going to pop up this Excel file right here. And RelSci has all the fields already auto-populated. So as much information as you can fill out on these individuals, the better. So if you have, their first name, their middle name, their last name, their company email address, phone number if you have it, company is really great. That helps us match what role they are at the organization and where they're located. So you want to fill out these Excel fields to the best of your ability. At the bare minimum, we only need full name and company affiliation to match them in the system, but obviously the more information you have, the better that ensures that we are able to match your contacts into the system. So what you would do is you would fill this out, and then when you want to click File, Save As, and you just want to make sure that you select CSV, delimited for when you're saving the Excel file, so that the file is compatible with RelSci.
Great, and then the second part of that question is, how do we make sure all areas are expanded when we generate reports?
So we're going to click into List feature. So let's say, you would like to create a new list for your account and you have your prospects. We'll click this Upload File to List. And right here where it says Download a Template, it's our CSV file. So anytime you are uploading either a list of prospects or top donors or your relationships, and you keep your file stored in Excel, what we're going to do is we're going to pop up this Excel file right here. And RelSci has all the fields already auto-populated. So as much information as you can fill out on these individuals, the better. So if you have, their first name, their middle name, their company email address,
So I'm assuming just the question is we're a little unsure of what the person who asked it was intending, but when you're reporting from RelSci, each different reporting field gives you the ability to select what you would like to report. So certain areas you'll have more customization, and Tara's going to show you right now, for an example, if you're reporting on a company page, you'll be able to choose, so if she clicks that report button, you can see you can hand select which elements of the profile you'd like to report. And then if you're reporting on out in a CSV file, you would just do the same expansion technique that Tara did when handling the CSV document. Okay, the next question is, do you cover organizations located overseas or in Canada or Mexico? And additionally, do you cover individuals who may be located overseas with links to U.S. constituents in your database?
So yes, RelSci does have international coverage. If there are companies or high net worth individuals, who are located in Europe or Canada or Mexico, you can go and type their names into the search bar and you can find their profile in RelSci. Additionally, let's say if there's a person in particular, that you really want to have into your system and you don't see them in RelSci, please click that RelSci services button, fill out as much information as you can. For example, I'm looking for Tom Smith. He works at Barclays in London. He's the head of their global investment group. Can you please profile him? Our research team would be more than happy to, go out, find that information on that international individual of interest, and we'll send you the updated link to that person's profile within 2 to 3 business days.
Additionally, if you're searching, so you don't have someone in mind, but you're just trying to find people or organizations located in Canada, in that Power Search tool, you can put, a foreign country as a place of location.
So if I wanted to look for people in Mexico, for example, who are C-suite and senior level executives, I can do that and scroll down and click search, and then those results will pop up in my Power Search.
Great. Okay, the next question is, what happens if I upload a list of contacts with employer or board info, but I have errors in some of my affiliations? Will your technology find errors and correct? So when you upload a list of contacts into the system, right away RelSci is going to show you exact matches. So those are individuals where the name that we have in RelSci and the company affiliation that we have is the exact same as what you have in the file you uploaded. But let's say, you pulled up Kathy Schuler and we have that she works at JP Morgan and you had that, she works at Morgan Stanley. After you go through your exact matches, there'll be a Save and Continue button that you'll click, and then a Potential Matches tab will pop up. And it'll show you anyone that maybe we think we have in the system, but we weren't sure, it wasn't an exact match. It could be that maybe the company affiliation was off, or maybe you had the middle name of the individual and we only had their first and last. So you can kind of go through the potential matches and add in some individuals who weren't an exact match into your system. And then one last question we're going to ask. Please feel free to submit more in this few moments while we answer it. Is RelSci using the relationships members add to populate the information that's included in your overall database? The answer to that question is no. Any relationships that you're uploading into the database exist privately amongst your organization. Anything that's in our overall database as a public profile is sourced by our research team in the public sphere, and those relationships you add are added on top just in your organization's private account.
Essentially, when you're uploading your contacts into RelSci, all we're looking at is we're cross-referencing the list that you've uploaded with who we have profiled. So we're matching, oh look, you have Tom Smith, who's a VP at Goldman Sachs. We have that profile. We make the match. It's just really a cross-referencing. We don't store any of that information. We're just seeing who we match, and then everything else gets thrown out of the system. All right, that is it for our webinar presentation today. If there are any last-minute questions, feel free to submit them, and our team will get back to you as soon as we can. Please keep an eye out for an email with our RelSci user guide for your reference. We thank all of you for attending. and we hope that you're able to better use RelSci after this session. If you would like another webinar, there will be more in the coming months. Thanks again, everyone, and have a great day.